Dave from DNA Reptilia here. Sorry about last week not putting out a video. We had a lot of things going on around here. Not all reptile related, but there were some. But special video going out this week. For the longest time, Abby had no idea where we were going because I brought her along because I knew it was a place that she would have loved to go. Where is that? Supreme Geckos. Let's go.
How old is it now?
About 2, but,
Okay.
well, it's not my first gecko I produced, it's from my first season,
Okay.
but she was a pain at first because she didn't eat a whole lot, and she's still on and off, so she's not even close to breeding size, but she was the prettiest gecko out of the 4 I produced that year, so.
Got it.
Always hold one back. Always.
Well, I
A couple
can't
of them.
always hold them back.
You have to. I know it's hard. It really is, but
I mean,
it's a tough decision for me to let something go. I
I
either
know.
sell it when it's young, and I don't see this being a super red or a super Dalmatian or a super.
Yeah.
So it's going to go. But once you make your decision to keep you want to keep 1 or 2, then I always hold like 4 or 5 or 6 back to get that one that I want to keep.
Yeah, I'm gonna have issues keeping back too many Dalmatians, I feel like. Once I know, like, I have a decent pair for Dalmatians, like, I'm not gonna want to sell any of the babies. And that's why Altitude Exotics, he mostly sells adults because he waits for Dalmatians to
pop in.
Right.
To populate.
Because it's kind of tricky to guess how many, if they're gonna be a super Dalmatian or not, or if what they're gonna look like in general.
Pangea has a really good video on Dalmatians. It's probably about 5 or 6 months ago, and he talks through the patterns. Take all the Dalmatians off the animals, and then just look at patterns and the colors and everything. And here's how you can tell you're going to get a better Dalmatian grouping.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't even look at the Dalmatians. Don't look at the dots because the dots don't matter as much as the patterns. A dark animal like this, you don't want to use in a Dalmatian project, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a crusted, but even you want the lightest, patternless,
Like cookie.
Nothing to it. The one that, and it can't be brown. It has to be light. So, a good video.
Can you explain to him how much the structure in a crescent gecko, how much that changes the price? Because I've tried explaining to him, but
Everybody is looking for something different. So put 100 people in the room, and you're going to have 4 or 5 or 6 people that go, I don't care what it looks like, I don't care what color, I don't care Dalmatian, I don't care about pinstripe, I don't care about anything. I want big flying,
Crest.
I want the flying nun gecko, with the big crest. And then you're going to get another 10 or 12 or 15 people that go, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then everybody else will go, I don't give 2 craps about it.
yeah.
I don't give 2 craps about it. I want to see color. I want to see color. I want to see color, and I want to see color. And then it's like, oh yeah, it has some nice crust too. That's cool. Maybe I'll pay a few more bucks for that. But it's if you're
Also,
breeding for
but
that.
also, another thing I tried explaining to him was lineage, which is something that drives the price, or can drive the price up quite a bit. Especially if you're selling it as a baby.
Think of it, yeah. What I try to do, and it's the same with snakes too. You're looking at a room of 100 people looking at your animal, and you want as many people above the line than you do below the line. So, and then you have another line that's the top line is, yeah, that's a pretty cool looking gecko. I would consider buying it. Then you have that 10% line where it's like, oh my God, that's the best crested gecko or ball python or whatever. And you're driving toward that 10%, but you at least want to bring your gecko above the 50% line.
Right, in order to be able to market it fairly decently.
and sell them and not have to worry about, I'm going to have to
You don't
hold
want to
this
be
animal for a
down
year.
here. You don't want to be
Yes.
up here all the time. You want to be floating in the middle, especially for shows. Now, for like the Tinley shows, the NARB shows, the ones that are the top of the line for a show, that's when that's your 10% right there is those shows. No, you can put back.
Reach. Yes, so when I do my forecasts at the end of the year for the next year, I always have the 4 lines. I know that a lot of my geckos are going to be right here at this price, and then the next line is I know that these guys are going to be maybe, you know, half as much or double, and then the third line is these are going to be the ones that I'm striving for.
Mm-hmm.
Then that last line is 10% of all my animals, or 5% depending on the type of animal I want in that line, and then even on there I have 50% holdback and 50% sale. So that 10% line is
Always
a very,
evolving.
very, very, very low number that I'm going to be willing to release. And I always strive, obviously, for that 10%. And if I hit it, great. If I don't, then I need to reevaluate. But that line is these are the $1,000, these are the $2,000 type of animals.
Mm-hmm.
That if I'm going to let them go, it means that I have an animal or two still sitting in the wings that I can afford to let go. So
Yeah.
I'm a spreadsheet freak, so I always
My thought like that is up here in the head.
I just find it very tricky to put a price on a crested gecko because there's
It
so
is.
much. Because there's so much to it. Like for him, it's easy. Go on morph markets,
Oh, you
see what that
dummy
combo of genes is, or that morph is worth, or whatever.
Yes.
What people are willing
But with
to
the
pay
crested
for it.
gecko, there are only 2 morphs technically. Otherwise, it's all pattern and traits.
Yes. Exactly. So I always do a show. I always do pricing for shows and for the webpage, and I spend a lot of time. But then once I settle on a price, then I'm done. Like I said before, I make my decision. I move on. I don't dwell on it. But the next show, I'm reevaluating.
Yeah, I overthink it. Like, okay,
That's not a problem.
Because I always go to morph market and see like, I've only ever sold a few crested geckos, but like I try and find something that's similar.
Mm-hmm.
And then I gotta think like, okay, I don't have lineage on this animal for some of them I had, so that knocks the price down a bit. But it has a decent structure. I don't know.
Another factor is I'm not altitude exotics. So
Yeah.
what he sells for 1,000, I might have to sell for 500 or 600 or 700.
Exactly.
But you're a
'cause you
supreme gecko.
I,
Now you're retired,
that's all
right?
answer. Yes.
What did you do?
I was a project manager for Generac. So Generac generators.
Okay.
Yes.
I was thinking, did the name follow with? Okay.
Yeah. So Generac's become a pretty big company, and I jumped in years ago when it was not such a big company and grew really well.
So you grew with the
I grew
company.
with the company and ultimately became a project manager. My last project was a $2 million project.
Your wife working right now?
She's working, yes.
Okay.
So she went back to work as a special eds teacher.
Oh, okay.
Paratech, they're called. She works with challenged kids, and she just, nobody in the world was ever made for a job. You know, maybe Barry Bonds for baseball, you know, and Michael Jordan for basketball. But
Yeah.
she's that kind of a person with what she does. She's very,
She's the
very
perfect
good.
puzzle piece into the puzzle.
Perfect. She loves what she's doing every day. She comes home and her eyes are glistening with excitement. And so, you know, she went back to work so that we could afford health care, you know, for a while, but she just loves what she's doing.
Not too many people do reptilia, so that kind of sets us off apart. And DNA is, well, Dave and Abby. No, D, N for and A for Abby. No, it worked out weirdly. And DNA Reptiles is actually a store down in Texas. I Googled it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I Googled, make sure that so I could do a Facebook, Instagram, and all that.
Yeah.
I just Googled the name I first thought of, and there was a store in Texas, DNA Reptiles. I'm like, okay. Then I looked for synonyms for reptiles. Reptilia came up. I'm like, that's different.
Yeah. I
And
like
it does
that a
roll.
lot.
It does roll.
I like it a lot, and I'm a big brand name kind of person. I spent a lot of time coming up with Supreme Gecko because Garrett had the perfect name, obviously, with crustedgeckos.com.
Oh yeah, that's probably one reason why he still has that
I
.com.
would never get rid of that. You know,
Oh yeah.
that has Google, wrapped around that name so much. But my sons have come up with businesses on their own, and we've talked about brand names and everything. So once you develop a name, after you establish yourself, it's impossible to change it.
Mm-hmm.
So come up with a name that you really, really like and means something about your business.